Oh my, an exciting week indeed in the National Football League here on episode 207 of the Kirby on Sports podcast. Dan Dembski and Carlos Martinez join me next to talk about anything and everything regarding our teams in this past week in the NFL. You don't want to miss it right here on the Kirby on Sports podcast. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Episode 207 of the Kirby on Sports podcast. We are brought to you commercial-free this evening, short and sweet. Big thanks to all of our sponsors: PM Plus Reserve, Shenandoah Primitives, Transformative Alignment Group, Barrett, Pest, and Termite Services, Mark Lynch with Guild Mortgage, Shenandoah Music, and the official energy drink of the Kirby on Sports podcast, Don't Sleep Energy. Use promo code KOS Podcast for 12% off your order every single time. We aren't wasting any time. The Weapon Dan Dembski joins me now. What's going on, buddy?
How you doing, man? This has been an exciting season so far. It's been a lot of upsets. There's been a lot of wackiness in the NFL, but that's why they play the games. We will I'm sure dive into all that. But doing well, man. Doing well. Thanks for asking. How are you?
Doing well. Can't complain. Currently at the beach, but we got to get work done.
Rub it in, why don't you? Yeah.
Sure. I'm sure you wish you were down here as well, but some relaxation, but work at the same time. So
well deserved, man. Well deserved.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of fun. Kind of chilly, but I enjoy it. So got the mobile set up, but we are back in business. And the reigning, defending two-time champion, the Swiss Army knife, Carlos Martinez. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Let's go, man.
We all have low energy, it seems like, but we're going to make this short and sweet. Boys, a very exciting week of football. I know there were a ton of headlines that we cannot get to, unfortunately, but still a crazy week. But we'll start with our three teams in order. The first matchup, Dan's Ravens, Carlos's Cowboys. The Ravens with a close margin of victory, but that wasn't the case for the whole game because the Ravens, it seemed like they were going to cakewalk their way to a victory, but Dallas inching their way back into the contest, unfortunately not being able to secure the win. But hats off for the comeback, but again, you don't get the win. I'm pretty much going to let you two hash this one out as the Ravens and Cowboys fans in this podcast. So I basically want to hear your thoughts, but it was a slow start for Dallas in my mind, but they came back in the second half to try to rumble, make some noise, but unfortunately not enough time.
Yeah. Do you want to go first, or I don't know?
Sure.
Yeah,
this was a game where I think the Ravens going into it had to reestablish what they are as a football team, as an identity on offense, which I think they did a very good job of. They got Derrick Henry very involved and let him loose, and I think they ran the football extremely well. I mean, you look at Derrick Henry, had over 150 yards rushing, with Lamar having 87 yards, so they ran the football extremely well, and I think for the most part they were efficient passing the football as well. No turnovers, which was huge for the Ravens, which is something they have usually not done a great job of in these types of situations either. And for most of the game, the defense played extremely well. I felt like they kept Dallas in check throughout most of this game. The run was no factor against the Ravens defense through the entire game. But yeah, you got to give credit to Dallas. It was a 28-6 game going in the fourth quarter. And after the Ravens' final scoring drive in the third, offensively, they were not able to do anything. So you got to credit Dallas's defense for what they were able to do. A lot of head-scratching play calling by the Ravens for sure in that stretch, in that period of those 3 or 4 series. And, of course, some miscues as well. Justin Tucker missed a field goal late in this game as well, which gave Dallas pretty good field position. So it was a lot of errors for the Ravens late in this game that luckily didn't cost them, as once again Lamar Jackson is able to run for a first down and save John Harbaugh's hide one more time, as he's done many times throughout both of their respective careers together. So that's kind of my summary. I think from a Ravens fan's perspective, it just seemed like it was the same thing that was going to happen again. As you watch the lead get trimmed down by Dallas, which they, again, you have to give hats off to what their offense was able to do. Dak just got hot. He was rolling. And that Brandon Aubrey too, man. He's a weapon for sure, with not only his special field goal kicking abilities, but the onside kick abilities as well. That was a crazy onside kick they were able to recover. So even with declaring it, still received it the onside kick, which is huge in my opinion. Yeah, for sure. I don't know if we've seen any other teams that have been successful so far this year. I'd have to look that up with the new rule change, but. This was a game where the Ravens were kind of bailed out. They were able to bail themselves out barely, but this was a nail biting game for sure, and one again that I think you could point to for John Harbaugh and just say, why does this team not close out games? They were able to do it this time, but there's been so many times they haven't been able to hold those multi-possession leads in the fourth quarter, and this was another example of it's just inexcusable to have that game even be that close. With, I think, 12 or 13 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, it's a 28-6 game. So those are kind of my thoughts. They have a lot to clean up as they host Buffalo next week, so that's going to be an extremely tough matchup. I know we're going to touch on that, but I'm not happy. Yep, exactly. And I'm not. This is one of those victories where you're not satisfied afterwards. So. They still have a lot, I think, to sort out. They answered some questions, I think, but there's still a lot of questions, I think, for the Baltimore Ravens moving forward. But we'll see how they're able to keep responding and just improve. Because, man, it's got to continue to improve to be a 4-quarter game, and it just hasn't been that so far this season, with this being their first win. So, yeah. Carlos?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't have a lot of thoughts on this per se. It's just the Cowboys just cowboyed. I mean, that's 3 straight home games where they get completely run out of the building, and then, it took them until the fourth quarter to show some sort of fight. But at that point, I don't know if you can credit that more to Dallas figuring something out or to Baltimore taking their foot off the gas. It's just, as a Cowboys fan, that was just an utterly disappointing and embarrassing, game, for the first 3 quarters. And then the fourth quarter comes around and they start making a comeback, and you're like, wait, is this really going to happen? And then it ended up not happening, of course, in typical Cowboy fashion. They, get your hopes up and then they break your little heart. Not that I was like overly excited that they were making the comeback. I was actually a little more frustrated that they were making a comeback, because I was like, come on, man. Like, you already had us like down in the dumps, like, and now you're gonna sit there and show some life. Like, what are we doing? Like, if you're gonna kill us, just kill us, So don't give us hope here. I don't know. There's just a lot of issues on the Dallas side of things in terms of they have no run game. If you shut down CeeDee Lamb, there's not a lot of playmakers on this team, Jake Ferguson looks like, he obviously is not 100%. He's still coming back from that knee injury from week 1. And then Brendan Cooks, just him and Dak's connection hasn't hit. I'm not even sure who the heck. I mean, Jalen Tolbert's still coming up. I mean, he just hasn't had a lot of playing time in his past 2 seasons to really have that repertoire with Dak Prescott yet. But, hopefully that's something that kind of grows, as the season goes on. But man, like, Dallas is in trouble because they got a bit hard stretch here soon. I mean, you got obviously the Giants on Thursday night. That shouldn't be hard. They should win that game. Then you go at Pittsburgh, a notoriously hostile environment for us. That there's no love lost between the two franchises.
Historic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And after that, you still got Detroit. That's our next home game. Then you got a bye week, and then you got to face the 49ers. I mean, Dallas needs to win these next 2 games to stay in the race because, Detroit's going to be coming in hot because they're going to be wanting some sort of get back for what happened last year, with the controversial ending to that game. And obviously San Francisco, that they're
yeah, they're
just the boogeyman for Dallas. So it's like, I don't
But
expect
they're hurting this year. They're hurting.
They're still the boogeyman. They're still the
Yeah.
boogeyman. They're still built to beat Dallas, and Dallas is not built to beat them. And
Yeah,
until
agreed.
Dallas beats San Francisco, you can't ever say, oh, Dallas is the favorite just because they're hurting. They're going to be healthy by the time that Cowboys game comes around, and they love beating on the Cowboys. It's like their favorite pastime. So Dallas really needs to win these because, like, I'm not ready to press the panic button yet, but like my hand's close, and if they lose to the Giants on Thursday, like that's it. Like you press the panic button, and Dallas has to make some sort of move, something to reinvigorate the team because it's just not working. Again, the key thing it's that running game, man. That running game just is not effective. Rico Dowdle is not getting anything. This offensive line is in shambles for the most part. They're still trying to find their cohesion, I think is the word. They're just not. It's just not an elite Dallas Cowboys offensive line that everybody's used to, and that stems from them again not really making moves in the offseason to really bring in talent. I mean, they're really banking on a 3-man running room, a running back by committee group. And again, Rico Dowdle, a washed Ezekiel Elliott, and Deuce Vaughn, who is shorter than I am. He's 5'5". What is he going to do against these, 6'2" 250-pound linebackers? I'm sorry. Like, I just don't see what the point of Deuce Vaughn being on this team is, and then we have, and who's everybody's like hopeful saving grace is Dalvin Cook, who hasn't been an effective running back since he left Minnesota. Like, I don't know. It's just, and then you see on the other side, we're getting, run over by Derrick Henry, and the Cowboys didn't even bother to call him to try to bring him over, and he wanted to be a Cowboy.
That's true.
So it's like, it's just poetic justice that he's the one who just completely demolishes this team, and we didn't even give him a call because guess what? The Joneses are terrible at planning ahead and working the salary cap to work in our favor in the future. And they just, the defense is, and this isn't all on the offense, obviously. I mean, they tried stuff, but there's just not enough playmakers on that side. But the defense is abysmal, man. They just, like, I'm sorry. Micah is just, I don't know what he's doing out there, because when you watch all this film breakdown and stuff, and then you hear his comments after the game. Now, obviously, he said on his podcast that, like, it's very this one and being 1-2 is very humbling and stuff, and hopefully they get some stuff corrected. But his comments after the game, after the game, saying that there's people like out of position, but then when you really watch the film, it's him who's completely out of position, and they all are out of position. A lot of players are on this defense. But
he's
like
the leader on the defense. He's got to be.
But it's like, there's certain plays like where he has to set the edge and he's going to the inside and he's not setting the edge, and Lamar and Derrick Henry are escaping out the side.
Yep.
It's just I don't know. It's just effort plays aren't being made. I don't know if you can blame it on the Zimmer scheme being completely different from the Dan Quinn scheme, and we just don't have the bodies that are needed to run the Zimmer scheme. I don't know. But long story short, the Cowboys just are hurting right now, and it's really hard for me to look at their upcoming schedule to think that they're going to go, that they can even win 10 games, because they got a lot of tough opponents coming up. And, again, if they can win these next 2 games and finish out this stretch, this road trip, I guess you could say, because they're going to New York and then to Pittsburgh. If they can finish this home stretch at 3-2, win these 2 games, and then say they, because I'm not saying they can't beat the Lions or the 49ers. Like, they can beat them. It's just, it's kind of hard to see them beating them right now, especially with how terrible our run defense is.
Yeah, it's really
and
bad.
How those 2 teams love to run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then again, it's the game plan is simple. And also, before I continue on, CeeDee Lamb's got to figure out his body language and his attitude. It's been terrible this year.
He's a detriment.
Like,
to
that was
that offense.
That was really, really bad. A bad showing. And we got to also factor in CD didn't have a training camp, and so he's basically still trying to get into his groove and trying to get back to the CeeDee Lamb that we knew last year. But man, dude, like, you fumble the ball, you're struggling to get open and stuff like that, and then you're getting really frustrated at the fact that Dak's not throwing you the ball. Well, because you're double covered, and he can't force feed you if you're also going to be fumbling the ball.
Right, exactly.
So I don't know what the Cowboys need to do. There's so much that they should have done this offseason that would have been super helpful had they thought ahead of time, but they don't think ahead of time, and this is why this franchise is in the position that it's in. And again, I do not foresee them winning any sort of championships anytime soon, because as long as the Joneses are running this franchise, it's just never going to happen.
I'm just amazed at the drop off of the defense in the last, from where they were the last couple years. It's just crazy to see how much of a step back that defense has taken, because it was the strength of for sure the last couple years, and especially Micah Parsons. It's just amazing to see. I know you said he's still,
the Zimmer scheme is completely different from the Dan Quinn scheme.
True.
Dan Quinn is more of, I guess, like, it's more of an athletic defense, and this is more big boy defense. It's, and we just don't have those kinds of bodies on this team. I mean, our run defense has always been. I mean, look at what it's what the Packers did to us in the playoffs.
Fair point.
Last year they just ran all over us. We couldn't stop them. I mean, that's literally it. If you hit this defense in the mouth, they're not going to respond, and that's what the Saints did. That's what you guys did, and that's what the Packers did.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I think there's definitely some questions there to answer, and it's hard looking at that division now, because you have, I mean, we're going to talk about Washington, but maybe they could be a sleeper team in this division. I don't know if last night was sort of a fluke game for them, or if I know we'll talk about this, or if they can actually.
I mean, I do think people are kind of overreacting a little bit.
Yeah, it's one game, right? And it's it's not like it's the playoffs, or it's not like it's
Yeah, and it's also, and again, this isn't the same Bengals that we've known from the past.
No,
this isn't the Bengals team that went to the Super Bowl. This isn't the Bengals team that took Kansas City to the limit in the AFC Championship game. That team, for the most part, has blown up, and it's clear to me that we're talking about. We moved on to Washington now, but
we'll get there, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, there's a lot to be said about that game. We'll talk about that more once
that
Kirby comes
tough.
back.
The division's tough. It's just how it is.
It's just this season is so weird. The vibes
is.
are so off on a lot of teams that you're just like, what is
That
happening?
we don't expect. Yeah, that we don't expect that to happen for sure. Yeah, I forgot to mention Justin Tucker missing. Again. I think he missed 2 field goals actually. It's a problem. It's a big problem.
He's in his head.
Something's got to give.
He's in his head.
It's translating to his the way he kicks the football too, and you can see that because the one kick he just yanked it. I mean, it just wasn't even close. I don't know how you fix that as a kicker, but maybe it's time to think that his reign of terror in the NFL is over. I don't know. I mean, that happens to kickers a lot, right? We've seen a lot of kickers leave the league after having great careers, and they have a season or half a season. I mean, this is going on like 2 seasons now where he is, especially from 50 plus, he hasn't been very good since 2 years ago now. So
I don't know how you get Tucker back into Tucker form. That's just something he's gonna have to work through because it's clear he's just in his head now about it, completely. And he needs a reset in terms of his and I don't know if maybe that does mean he needs to move on to a different team or something, or I don't know what they have to do to get Tucker back on, but it's like it's really hard to move on from him because of what he has done.
Yeah,
he
was there for the last Super Bowl. He's one of the only guys. I mean,
and he's been so efficient. Like this is like a rare down in his production. So I don't know. It's
a strange thing. It's
just
kickers,
weird.
Kickers are different creatures for sure. They just
are. To go to the whole fourth quarter comeback thing that made this game look much closer than what it actually was, because let's be honest, like the Ravens were kicking Dallas's ass.
Yeah, on both sides of the ball.
For 3 quarters, and then all of a sudden, at that point, I mean, 28-6. I mean, like let's be honest, like we all thought the game was over. Shoot, I had already updated the graphic in our pick'ems to say to reflect that, you got that, like you who made the right pick and who made the wrong pick. And then all of a sudden I just start hearing, and like I wasn't even watching the game anymore. I was in my room. I had it on the projector out in the living or in the bunker. And like I'm just like all of a sudden I'm starting to hear some commotion that like there's that a comeback is happening. And I was like, no way. And I walk back over and I start going, are you serious? Like, what are we doing? It's just for Baltimore, it's learning how to finish. You got to learn how to finish. And thankfully this time they finished, right? At the end, they made the plays that they needed to close out the game and not give Dallas a chance to get the ball back. But it shouldn't have come to that. Nope. Dallas realistically should have never gotten back in this game. And that's something that has been a staple of, especially the past few seasons of the Harbaugh, experience, is that like he just like they just go way too safe after a while.
Yep.
And it the other team starts to gain momentum and then they start building back and then boom, next thing you know, you've lost your like that was a 22-point lead. Like there's no reason why it should have still ended in a 3-point, like 3 points, like in one, like, come on.
Yeah. 19-0 run for Dallas. It was just crazy. It was just crazy. And you're right. It just can't happen. It can't happen on either side of the ball, but especially on the offensive side of the ball, you have to have a plan to, I mean, there has to be better play calling. It's as simple as that. I think the play calling got not only conservative, but just head scratching. I think one play was a 3rd down, and they tried some sort of like screen or something, and it was either dropped or something. The clock stopped, whatever the case was, on a pass play, so probably a pass. And that just can't happen. I mean, you got to be running the clock in that case. What do I know? The missed field goal did hurt him as well. Gave Dallas good field position. So that was, I think, one of the drives they were able to take advantage. just a lot of miscues and a lot of stuff they have to clean up. You know, I know a lot of these guys also didn't get a preseason. Also, you know, this is kind of their first time like wearing pads and stuff in here in week 3. Well, obviously they've had 3 weeks of it, but you know, it takes a couple weeks.
I think it's starting to
plus
show the
some
importance of
preseason games.
why maybe
There's a
players
reason
should start
why.
playing in the preseason
Yep.
now. Because,
Agreed.
like, yeah, sure, like, nobody likes
So
the
much
preseason.
rust.
Preseason's so lame, but, like, it shows that, like,
Oof.
I mean, just think about how it used to be, like, before players started opting out of preseason. I mean, the Chiefs play everybody in the preseason. There is nobody sitting out,
Right.
you know? And it's like, it used to be, obviously, the preseason used to be 4 weeks, and then, like, so it would be week 1, you would get, like, a couple drives. Week 2, you would get,
It rapidly
a
gets
half
increases.
or something. Like you would get a
every
quarter
week.
week 1, a half week 2. You get maybe 3 quarters week 3 as the starters, and then week 4, it would be just all backups. So like what, now obviously we're down to only 3 weeks of preseason, but like there was always a process to it of starting of doing all that, and I think that's the problem now is that.
Agreed.
And I think that's why football has been so wonky in the first couple weeks and so hard to predict is because teams just aren't ready.
Yeah, and it's a tell across the NFL. I think you also see a lot more soft tissue injuries, especially minor injuries for the first 3 weeks. A lot of ankle injuries, a lot of things of that nature. So it's kind of a cascading effect without all that practice, without all that time spent on the field wearing pads, getting hit, because that's a big part of it.
Playing
too.
like real
football,
high speed, real football. Yeah.
Yeah, at actual speed, and I think that's another key too. These guys are in practice. They're doing half speed, if that. I mean, maybe a little bit more, maybe like 60%. I guess it depends on what position they're playing. But
yeah, obviously you're not going to go full speed during practice, but it's like you gotta like that's why preseason games are kind of important because
they are.
It just helps.
We've seen it. So yeah, it's I think you had the same thought I did. I think that's why the NFL has been so wacky this year is that we've seen a lot of teams and some teams suffer a lot of injuries. I know we're not going to talk about the Niners today, but they've had a ton of injuries so far, and I wonder if that's part of it too. They're just not conditioned here to start the season. So very odd.
I mean, it's hard to just jump straight into
without any hitting.
Real football.
Yeah, just go straight in.
Yeah, so who knows?
Seems unsafe as well, but what do I know? Well, once Kirby gets back, we will move.
We'll move on off of this game, but he's just being the stooge of stooges and goes off to get some water and then doesn't, and then forgets it.
Let's see, he was gone for a while.
But yeah, I mean,
11 minutes.
Yeah, he's been gone pretty much this whole segment, so I don't really know how to kill more time because obviously, well, I guess we could just move on to the Chiefs because the Chiefs are next, anyways. So
yeah, let's talk about the Chiefs and the. Shoot, hold on, don't tell me. My head started itching. The Chiefs and the Falcons, of course. The great Kirk Cousins. You guys shut him down late in the game. Good job there.
I mean, we shut him down for about 3 quarters.
He wasn't that effective throughout this game.
Once they lost their linemen, it was super hard for them to do the zone, whatever zone run option thing that they've been doing.
Right.
And we were just shutting that down left and right. Look, it was we're the champs, and we're always going to take everybody's best shot. And it's just, I don't know, man. It's just crazy how the Chiefs can still have pretty rough performances, but yet still win.
Yeah.
Listen, obviously what people want to talk about is the refereeing, the missed pass, which you're not going to hear any argument from me. That was a clear and obvious pass interference. I was also as stunned as everybody else that was not called because that should have been called. But let's be honest here. okay, so then you would have gotten the ball at the 1 on with about 4 minutes left, and you're going to give the ball back
You're
to
going to give
Patrick
the ball back to
Mahomes.
Mahomes with 3
So it's
minutes,
just like, is it
3.5 minutes.
really
Yeah.
that big of a difference? And then on top of that, okay, so then they scored a field goal on that drive, correct?
Let me double check, but I believe that.
I can't remember what they did on that drive. I know they obviously didn't score the touchdown. I'm positive they went for I can't remember what happened now.
They, I think they failed on 4th down on that one.
On that drive too?
Yeah, and then in the fourth quarter, it was a long drive.
Yeah, so
You said it was
then,
like there was like 4 minutes left or something. Yeah, they failed
yeah,
on 4th
and
down.
then it went to then the Chiefs got the ball back. Mahomes did absolutely nothing with it. It was literally I think it was a 3 and out. And then we punted back to the Falcons, and the Falcons got a bunch of ticky-tack calls on that. Like that, they got their makeup call. They got a pass interference on that call on that drive. That was not a pass interference because again, Mooney just runs right into Trent McDuffie. Like McDuffie's just standing there. So like I don't like I was like, how is that pass interference? Like he ran into him. So there was that. And they got 3 calls that gave them 3 first downs. And yeah, it's just this whole notion that the Chiefs are getting all the calls. It's like, dude, like, did you watch that last drive? Like they single-handedly they were keeping the Falcons in this game. Yeah. And then, like again, the Falcons on a 4th and inches
screwed themselves on that bad.
They decide to try to run to the outside. It's like, why are you like just run it up the middle? What are we doing here? Like you just have to get a little bit, or I understand the injury to Kirk Cousins and everything. So I guess they're just hesitant to want to do a QB sneak with his Achilles. But again, at the same time, like then just give it to Bijan. Like just let him run up the middle. Why are we trying to run it around the line? I mean, and that was a hell of a play by Nick Bolton. And yeah, dude, it was just, for all, the Chiefs defense, I'd still say it's not as great as last year's defense, but they're still pretty great. They are just absolutely shutting teams down for the most part. There were just a couple lapses here and there. Obviously, we saw with the first touchdown, to Nazi and Tranquil not having the right communication. Tranquil thinking that he was supposed to just stay with the running back. And Nazi he made that hand motion to be like, hey, like, we're going to switch off. Mm-hmm. And Drew, for some reason, just being like, no, I'm staying with the running back. And then they both go to the running back, which opens Drake London wide open. So, yeah, again, that was just a breakdown in communication. I mean, Nazi tried to make the call like, hey, like, I'm switching him off to you. And Drew just not understanding it. There was that, and there were just, a couple lapses here and there, but man, like again, when the moment is biggest, and I think this is why last year was so pivotal to this year's team, is because we've been in these close games. So we're not scared of them, and They know how to win. They know how to close it out when they need to. The offense has a lot of kinks to work out. Obviously, again, injuries to Hollywood Brown, Pacheco. The line still needs a little work. It was a lot better in this game. Wanya Morris actually did a pretty decent job. Welcome back.
I apologize. I've had a little personal injury, something like that. But I do apologize.
We are on to Kansas City, as Bill Belichick would say, but not Cincinnati. So we are talking about the Chiefs and the Falcons game. We will be on
Cincinnati in a little bit, but we're talking about the Chiefs right now. All in all, offensively, they need some work. They need to really figure out what Xavier Worthy's going to really be. And because they're just still trying to figure out his scheme. They need to figure out Travis Kelce. I think right now what they're banking on is because teams are still strictly focusing on Travis Kelce. So what they're doing is they're using him as the decoy. They're going to be giving it to Rashee Rice. Eventually, teams are going to adjust and go to and start double covering Rashee, and then that'll eventually open Travis Kelce back up, and then that's when Kelce will start getting more involved. I just think, right now teams are just making that strict focus on no matter what, don't let Travis beat us. But, now we got this other weapon in Rashid that's going to help us a lot.
Yeah, I think you summarized it perfectly. I mean, Kansas City's been there and done that, and they know how to close out these close games regardless of the circumstance or the opponent or any of those things. So I think, anytime they've had any sort of slip-ups, they've been minor. So they really shut Kirk Cousins down when they had to in this game. And like you said, I think the injuries to the Falcons' offensive line did not bode well for them in this game. But their play calling was also horrendous down the stretch, too, and definitely played in to the outcome of this game. And Kansas City just finds ways to win. It's not necessarily always in the same way, and I think that's what makes them such a unique team as well, and a hard team to defeat because they find ways to win in every circumstance. So that's a lot of gobbledygook, I know, but I think what I said made sense there. But yeah, it's just like it's not always going to be a clinic, but Kansas City finds a way to make it happen, and I think that's
Nick Wright and his awesome stuff that he does on First Things First. One of his banners today was, imagine what it's going to look like when the Chiefs actually play well,
Yeah.
Because it's just, it's true. It's like, look, this Chiefs offense, while we thought maybe they had figured some stuff out in week one, they really, last week was an awful performance by Patrick Mahomes. I want to say it was one of the worst of his career. This was an average performance. That interception to Simmons was, right on cue as always. That dude just loves picking off him at Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. But he stared the receiver down. He didn't try anything to look him off. And, Isaiah Simmons says it, Patrick's going to give you the opportunity. You just have to execute and make the play. And he always somehow makes the play. The fact that he was a free agent in August is crazy. And that nobody else really wanted to sign him. Look, Patrick needs to clean some things up. But at the same time, let's be honest, I feel like right now, Kansas City's kind of in that Golden State territory where they are just kind of like, look, the regular season's kind of boring. They're just like, look, we're gonna do what we need to do to win the games, but like we're about getting to the playoffs. Once we get to the playoffs, that's when we turn it on. We saw it last year. Once they got to the playoffs, something flipped and they were able to go. And again, a lot of injuries right now. And once those guys come back, Pacheco will be coming back soon. Hopefully we may or may not get Hollywood Brown at some point this season. Who knows? And even if he comes back, it's not like he's going to be in football shape. He's not going to necessarily be the guy that we've been super excited to see. But, let's see how this offense kind of develops. Again, once they figure out Xavier Worthy on how to use him instead of constantly trying to use him on, wheel routes and, stuff like that, and just try to keep using his, use his speed in a different, in a different way, we'll get some stuff figured out. And once we can figure out how to also implement Juju, because it's clear Juju Smith-Schuster, his role was Rashid Rice's role, and now that's Rashid Rice's role. So now it's like figuring out how to factor in Juju Smith-Schuster. And then, of course, like I said, Travis Kelce will eventually come on and be, a problem.
I was going to ask about that. Are you concerned about the way he's played? The chemistry between he and Mahomes just seems off. Are you concerned?
Well, like he's 35. He's 35.
Mm-hmm.
Travis, I believe. He's even said it. He's got two more seasons left in him, probably. So he's probably got this season and next season. The only person to ever be Father Time was Tom Brady.
True.
And but even then, Tom Brady came out barely, limping out of there, out of that battle.
Facts.
And am I a little concerned? Yeah, a little bit. But I'm at the same time, I understand that like teams are still double teaming Travis Kelce. And what it's doing is opening Rashid Rice. So it's like, again, it's not as if he's not being impactful. He's just not being impactful in the ways that people want him to be. And obviously, there's the Taylor Swift stuff of it all. He's in that, obviously, high profile relationship. And people are going to point to that being like, oh, he's, she ruined him. Or something. That's not it. That's not the case. That's none of it at all. I just think Travis just isn't, I think he just isn't being utilized yet. And I think that they're waiting to deploy him for later on because they know they only Travis probably only has like 6 to 8 like legendary games left in him, and we just got to all accept he's not the same player he has been before. He's getting older and it's harder for him to produce in that level. And, but then there are also some moments where it's Patrick Mahomes just isn't throwing him the ball when he should.
Say, he's not targeting him as much.
I can think of one specific play, here in this game where Travis made a beautiful move and was wide open and Patrick just didn't throw it to him. Mahomes also needs to clean some stuff up because he has been playing pretty rough these past 3 weeks. And like I said, it's only September. It's only the first month of the season.
They're still 3-0.
It's going to be sloppy. We still have a long way to go. And again, you don't want to be playing your best football right now. You want to be playing your best football later on in the year. You want to peak going into the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And Kansas City has proven time and time again they know how to when it is that they need a peak. And so I have, they're back-to-back champs, so we got to trust them. We got to trust they know what they're doing. And Patrick will clean his stuff up. And they're 3-0. They're winning. They're playing bad, and we're still winning.
Undefeated. Yep. So I wouldn't be concerned at all.
So let me pose something, and maybe I missed this while I had my little episode spell. I do apologize again for that. But the Atlanta Falcons, towards the beginning of that game, they look decent to me. Do you all get that from them too, or do you just think that Kansas City was just off?
I think they're a talented team. I think Kirk Cousins is Jekyll and Hyde. You just don't know what you're going to get from him. He can come out and he can throw 5 touchdown passes, and then the next game he can come out and throw 5 picks and no touchdowns. So you just don't know what you're going to see with Kirk Cousins as your quarterback. And I think as he goes, their offense goes. I think defensively they're not too bad either. I think they've got some good players on defense. So I think they're a fine team, and I thought they competed well throughout this game. Carlos and I alluded to before, like their play calling late in that game, as you can see why I have a hat on. Their play calling was horrendous late in that game.
Yeah, the play calling at the end was really bad.
It costed them. So can't blame the officials for that. So.
And I forget the player's name, but Pat Mahomes just loves throwing the ball.
Yeah. Carlos mentioned
that. We already talked about that. But to answer your question, Kirby, look, this is what I've told. This is what I've told people about the Falcons is they are a team that I believe as the season goes on, they will get better because you got to think about it. This is completely entirely, a new coaching staff. You got a new quarterback who's still trying to, get his legs under him, coming off of the Achilles injury. He's still trying to figure out the chemistry with the offense. And it's just, they just need time to figure it out. And look, they were in that game against Pittsburgh. They just couldn't finish drives. They were, they beat the Eagles, and they executed perfectly on that final drive to score and beat them. They were right there,
in this game.
It's not like they were they were, it was a defensive stand that stopped them. And there's a couple decisions early I don't understand why they didn't go, why they went for it on 4th down super early in the game when they could have just gotten a field goal.
Yeah, that was dumb.
Kick a couple field goals and you'll be in the game. Like take the point sometimes. And look, you're playing against the back-to-back Super Bowl champions. They've won the Super Bowl 3 out of the last 5 years. Like these guys are going to know how to win. And this defense is super stout. Like they're just great. They're not as great as last year, but they're still great. The Falcons, I think, are going to be a problem. And honestly, that whole NFC South is it's looking pretty competitive compared to years prior.
Yeah, that's a good point too. I think with the I'm not sure what the Panthers are going to do. Obviously, with Andy Dalton.
No, they came back to life.
They got to keep Andy Dalton in there. He's going to give him a chance.
But with that NFC South, it looks a lot more competitive, as Carlos just alluded to. So it's going to be very interesting come those division games, how those matchups play out. And Atlanta, they didn't get the win, but they have some weapons that they can use. But again, Kirk Cousins, he's very inconsistent sometimes. He can throw for 5 touchdowns. He can throw for 5 picks. I've seen it many times, but the Chiefs just do what the Chiefs do, and they get the win.
You like that?
Yeah, they all their games have been 1-possession games. So that's only been 3 weeks, so it's a small sample size. But that could sort of be the team they are this year. Like all their games come down to the end.
Like I said, they might just be bored. Like they're just bored. They're just like. Look,
I was talking about the Falcons, but
but
Kansas City too, probably.
I thought we were talking about Kansas City.
No, it's all good, man.
I guess we got to ask Kirby about what his thoughts were on the whole officiating situation.
Yeah, what are your thoughts?
In what game?
Chiefs.
What game are we talking about?
Oh yeah. I heard. Yeah, I'll be honest. I was in and out on that game. I heard
Hey, Mr. Twitter. As if you're not on Twitter seeing exactly what's happening.
I saw one thing about it, and I forget which one it was.
Kirby, what was the call that everybody's talking about in that game?
See, I'm on vacation, man. I gotta remember that.
He doesn't know.
This is our host, guys. Okay, we're moving on. It's clear we're not going to get it.
No, please remind me. Jog my memory.
Too late. The moment's gone.
Dan, help me out.
Sorry, bud. You got to know these things.
You're the host, bro.
I'm on vacation, man. Now I'm going to have to
this. You still got to do your research.
I saw it, but I forgot.
No. We saw your setup. You sent us a picture on Sunday. Look at my setup. So don't say, I wasn't paying attention.
That's true. Also, it was it's Sunday night.
The only game. It's Sunday Night Football. Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yep.
I'm looking at this so I can see just to make sure I know which one you're talking about.
Oh my God, this is so embarrassing.
Oh yes. This
is embarrassing.
That one, yes. I remember.
What was it?
I'm sorry. I had a brain fart, the Kyle Pitts one, but yeah, I just can't really say for sure because it's just very confusing with the officiating in the league.
It's been. You can say that again.
Yeah, it's very.
Ongoing issue for years.
We're going to talk about this, but the Bengals 2-point conversion, I would have called that a PI.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that. We'll
be
get
100% honest. I did not watch a single down of that game last night. I didn't watch a single down of any of the Monday Night Football games. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I didn't watch. No.
Everybody turned off the Buffalo game. That was a waste of time.
Yeah, that was done at half
the first quarter. Yeah.
Yeah, it was done in the first quarter.
Trevor Lawrence, I don't know about him, but anyway.
Yeah, but what we should move on as the Chiefs did get a victory over the Falcons, and I had a brain fart there on that call, but we will move on. Mistakes happen all the time, but once again, we are commercial free. Huge thanks to all of our sponsors: PM Plus Reserves, Shenandoah Primitives, Transformative Alignment Group, Barrett, Pest, and Termite Services, Mark Lynch with Guild Mortgage, Shenandoah Music, and Don't Sleep Energy. Monday night, a doubleheader, and it was not the Bills and the Bengals. I will tell you that. It was the Washington Commanders marching into Cincinnati, and they get a victory, making the Cincinnati Bengals fall to 0-3, 38-33. Dan, I'm sure you were pretty happy about this one.
Yeah, I was very happy about this. I appreciate the dubs there from your squad.
Well,
helping us out in the AFC North. That really meant a lot. I shed a tear actually of joy. So thank you.
Well, let's start with this.
Okay, before you start, I know you've been doom and gloom for a long time with this franchise. Does this win? Are we going to start hearing they're going to be 12-5? They're going to be 13-4?
Because I'm already starting to see your dumb fan base is already being like, "This is our year." All this, like, you guys beat the freaking 0-2 Bengals, who the Patriots beat Week 1 in the same stadium.
Yeah, let's just get that out in front
the Kansas
before
City Chiefs super
goes
tough.
off the rails.
They play the Chiefs super tough every year.
Yep.
So talk to me, Kirby. Are you a delusional fan?
I think he's realistic, but I just
were you putting words in my mouth right there, Carlos? I didn't even get to say anything.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay.
No, but I want to know your thoughts because, like,
I will give you a fact. I will give you an absolute straight fact about this game. The first time since 1940 with no turnovers.
Okay, Kirby, but you're not answering the question that we just posed to you.
Yeah, and they saved Tress Way so he gets a break from the last 2 weeks.
Again, you're not answering. Donald Trump, answer the question.
He has a concept of a plan.
Okay, so you're asking
I have concepts of what my fandom is doing.
So you're asking me about.
We're asking, how do you feel? Where the team
What's
is
the
at
expectation
right
for the rest of the season?
Yeah,
for this team?
are you
After
like
the
rest of the fan base, which is like,
are you delusional?
I've been telling everybody this is our year.
Yeah,
hail to the commies.
No.
Or are you a realistic fan who's like, look, congratulations, you beat the Bengals, but the Bengals aren't the Bengals. Not the one that we're used to that took the Kansas City Chiefs to the limit. I mean, they took them to the limit again, but you know what I'm saying.
I will disagree with that, Carlos, and I'll tell you why. They still have Jamar Chase.
Wait, disagree with what?
That the Bengals are not the same.
Sir, let me put you onto some. Let me drop some gospel on you. Okay, listen. This is not the same team. Okay, they do not have Boyd anymore. They do not have Joe Mixon anymore. Their offensive line has taken a hit. Okay, their defense. You don't have.
One of their linemen out for the season.
You don't have a lot of these key players that you used to have. This Bengals team has taken a huge hit. Sure, they still have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. T. Higgins didn't play in this game again.
Yes,
did he play?
Yes, he did. He caught
fresh off of an injury. I'm sorry, off of an injury. See, look, that shows I didn't watch this game. That just shows I didn't watch this game.
Okay. Well,
T. Higgins is coming back from an injury. Okay, hold on. I'm dropping some gospel on you, my boy.
Well, no, I'm trying to explain my side too.
Well, hold on. Okay?
We'll turn the mic over to you.
Say you disagree with me and then somehow agree with me, okay? Because, like, at the end of the day, this is not the same Bengals. This is just not.
Well, I'm not saying they aren't the same Bengals from back then, but that
is what you said.
Okay, so listen. They have Jamar Chase. The Commanders could not cover him one-on-one. The first drive of the game.
The Chiefs
no team can.
Okay. I mean, the Chiefs do a decent job, but they double cover him a lot.
Absolutely, the Commanders did not do that at all.
Well, that's fucking. Excuse my French. That's freaking Dan Quinn. Okay, he doesn't like doing double coverage.
He does not.
Okay, so let me put it this way: that first drive, I'm like, oh, it's going to be a very long game.
It was a quick touchdown for Cincinnati.
It was. But you have an Evan McPherson missed field goal. 2 stops that forces an additional 2 field goals.
Yeah, it's rare.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. But as I was saying, with that, the offense lights out for the most part. Jaden Daniels did an exceptional job.
Played well.
He schemed Terry McLaurin. That touchdown pass towards the end. You see that one?
That is not scheming
That's not
someone.
scheme,
That's
dude.
God.
No,
you got to learn
They got
terminology if you're going
Terry
to use
some more targets. That's what they needed.
Scary Terry. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've been saying that. We've been saying
He's
that
a
for
really
2
good
years.
guy. I don't understand why you guys don't involve him more. That's on your incompetent
Yep.
franchise.
I know. So with that, Jaden Daniels looked excellent. He had
did
like
look good.
the highest QBR, like beating Dak in the first 3 games or something like that. I saw the graphic up there. Not that it really matters.
Cowboys, because they live rent free in his head.
No, they showed the graphic and
I'm
it was
sorry,
like
he finally threw his first touchdown pass. Congratulations, okay? Like,
do you know
I'm
who
not impressed,
threw that
bro.
touchdown pass to?
Yeah,
Who
an offensive lineman.
Yeah, it
Threw
was
to an offensive lineman.
yeah, an O lineman. What his name was
Who was it?
Trent Scott.
Trent Scott. Yep.
I
do
couldn't
really
believe it.
not care.
But the offense looked good. Offensive line needs a lot of work because Jaden Daniels.
We've known this.
Yeah, offensive line. The defense just couldn't stop a nosebleed in this game.
Neither defense could.
If it wasn't for the failed 2-point conversion, which should have been a penalty, I will admit that it should have been a penalty. The missed field goal, if that field goal was made, and those other 2 times we held them to field goals were touchdowns, we'd be talking about a Commanders loss. But still, a lot of hope with Jaden Daniels. It sucks Eckler got injured. He has a concussion, but still a lot of work that this team needs to do in order to call themselves a successful franchise. But they are making baby steps in the right direction.
About franchise, baby. How about we work on becoming a successful defense, a successful offense, then a successful team? We're talking about franchise? Franchise? Brother.
It's going to take a while, but it's
already happening. It's already happening. They get one glimmer of hope. They beat one team by 5 points.
The expectations are whoop, whoop, whoop,
and they're
whoop,
ready
through
to
the
crown
roof.
themselves Super Bowl champs. Y'all are about as bad as Dallas Cowboys fans.
Super Bowl champs.
Watch what's going to happen. Watch what's going to happen. The Dallas Cowboys are going to beat the New York Giants, and then all those terrible delusional fans are going to start coming out being like, y'all doubted us. We're back, baby. And then like it's the same vibe, bro. Y'all have no wonder why we don't like each other. We have the same vibe.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, Carlos, to answer your question, no, they are not going to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
So it was a good game. I liked it, but there were some negatives. The same stuff per usual. But again, keep working, keep gelling, keep meshing together.
But it was a road win for a rookie quarterback who only threw 2 incomplete passes. So
it was
I mean,
that was impressive. That's what I love.
You can't be upset. You can't be upset with how they
I'm
played.
not upset.
At the
But
same
there's
time,
still issues that they got to work on. But
of
they
course,
can do that.
every
game
single
by
team
game.
in the NFL has things they got to fix.
Yeah,
There's no perfect teams.
Kidding. The Chiefs.
No
have a lot.
perfect team. Yeah, the Chiefs have a ton to fix.
yeah.
Maybe Buffalo is the only one so far that really you can't point to a ton of stuff. but we'll
The
see.
September champs, babe. They strike again.
Yep. Is this the last full week in September, right? Because next week is October. Yep. October 1's on. Well, I guess this Sunday will be the last Sunday.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. They
September,
always go 4-0 like the first week of the season. 4-0, 3-1, and they're just the September
funny.
champs. Everybody starts jumping on their bandwagon, and then that's when the fun starts. That's when we start
they'll have
watching
to
the
keep it up.
implosion. Listen, this is like clockwork. It's like clockwork.
Happens every
But
year.
enough about
Happens
them.
every
Back
year.
to your commies.
Yeah, I think that's all. I think that's all I've got. But for the
It was a
most
good
part,
win, and it was a good road win. I think those are the important things to
Listen, good win.
a lot of
as well.
confidence for this team. I'm not sure how they'll take it.
Good win. Good win. Good win.
Thank you.
My main criticism is for the Bengals, because again, they like to talk all this noise. They like to talk all this noise, but like they don't. You're 0-3 now. You guys always start the season out slow. Then you guys are struggling to catch up. Now you're 0-3. I don't think there's not great odds for them to make a comeback. To make the playoffs. Almost
0% chance they make the playoffs.
And then again they talk a lot for a team that's never won anything. Congratulations, you won an AFC Championship game 3 years ago. Like.
Yeah,
2 years ago.
It's
You guys
been a long
lost that
time.
Super Bowl. You guys, and then you guys had a bad season last year, and like it's kind of the same thing now this year. The chemistry is just off there in Cincinnati. I don't really know what they got to do to get it back on track, but
I don't know either.
they got something. They got to look in the mirror and really figure it out. But listen, look, I'm happy that the Commanders got this win because maybe it might be their only one from here on out.
Yeah, I agree with Carlos. I think it's surprising to see the Bengals struggle so much. I mean, offensively, they did not struggle in this game. They can blame Burrow all they want. I saw a lot of people comment, "Oh, Burrow stinks, Burrow this, Burrow that." He's been bad before, but he was not bad in this game. He was pretty damn good, and that whole offense was good. It was just the Cincinnati defense, and obviously Cincinnati had to make one more play on offense. It didn't happen. I mean, again, you can say if all day, which is what you were doing, Kirby, when you're saying, well, if this happened, and if that happened, then we'd be talking about a Commander's loss. Well, it doesn't matter because that's literally any
win
game
is
in the
a
NFL.
win, brother.
A win is a win, and the
Are you gonna
Commanders should be happy about this.
Oh, I was happy too. There's a lot of growth and a lot of promise, but the puzzle is just not all together
But
yet.
it's one game. Again, the fans need to stop trying to hang the banner now. It's one game, and it's week 3.
You think I'm trying to hang the banner?
No,
He's not
I'm
talking
not.
about you. We're
I
talking
said-
because it's not you, Kirby.
Yeah,
Like,
I was just making
you.
sure. I was just making
No,
No,
sure.
it's
you
not
are.
you,
You
but
have
it's-
common sense.
It's a lot of things
You
that
have
I've been
common sense.
seeing is that your fan base,
For whatever reason.
the Commanders fan base, is starting to act as if Jaden Daniels is better than Patrick Mahomes. It's like it's not there.
Oh, I didn't see that anywhere. But really,
Yeah. You got some really not so
This
smart
is
people
why your
out there
fan base
saying
is
these things.
insufferable, bro. It's
Yeah.
not as bad as the Cowboys. It's okay. That's why we don't like each other.
It's like you said. It's why it's a rivalry.
all right.
The Bengals have some stuff to work out. I can't really put my finger on the pulse of why they've
Yeah,
had so
what
many
they need to
issues.
do. They need to spend some money, but they have the
That's true. They
cheapest
need-
owner in the league.
How many times have they needed an offensive line, and how many times have they?
Oh, and they
failed to
just
do
lost
that?
one. They just lost their
Yeah.
left tackle, right?
Yeah,
He's
who was it? Who was it? Armstrong just pushed him over, and he's out for the year.
Yeah, I
he's
forget
done
the- I
for
forget
years.
the line.
Like,
Something,
they
I
don't have
think.
a left tackle. And that was the
Yeah.
guy who used to be on the Chiefs. I can't remember his
Literally the
name.
most important position on the.
He left the Chiefs,
offensive
so I don't
line.
remember his name anymore. What's his name?
Nick Allen.
Orlando, was it
No,
Orlando
not
Brown?
Alex Reddy. I'm not talking about. No, I'm talking about for the Bengals.
I can't recall.
Who?
Isaiah Brown was it? Is that? Hold on.
Wait, you talking about the guy that got hurt, Carlos?
Yeah.
You're talking about Trent Brown.
Trent Brown, that's his name, not Isaiah Brown.
Yeah, he's a right tackle, but still
No.
crucial position for sure. And the guy's been in the league apparently for 10 years, which I didn't know. That's pretty wild.
Tom Brady's not going to do Christmas games, just saying.
Oh, good.
Oh my goodness. He's probably calling the Cowboys game again this week.
They're bringing him over to Amazon.
You know what's one thing he says a lot that got on my nerves as the game went on? He just would go, "Yeah." Every time, and then there'd just be silence, and then he would say something else. I'm like, oh
he's
my
still
god.
trying to get his sea legs under him. You just got to give it time, guys. People need to stop.
I know.
Bro, you got to give it time.
I'm just busting.
We'll see. I mean, again, I did not mind Tom Brady. It just is.
He's not bad. He's not bad.
I just feel like people are just jumping down his throat already, as if he's. I mean,
Because he's
Tony
not Greg
Romo
Olsen.
wasn't the hottest thing
That's
when
what
he
it is.
when he first started. It wasn't until he did the championship game and he was predicting all the plays. That's when he got hot. Greg Olsen. It's not like Greg Olsen kind of just jumped on the scene because they got pushed up quickly to the number 1 team. But
Sure.
it took Olsen a little time to really catch on, and nobody likes Chris Collinsworth, so
Understandable. He is
Now here's a guy.
he does not watch football. He does not. I'm convinced Chris Collinsworth does not watch football.
he slobs on every player's knob. It's like, dude, we get it.
Dude, he slobs on Mahomes knob like crazy.
Badly.
Bad,
he loves
bro.
Mahomes.
It's bad. Listen.
And you're a Chiefs fan, and you're saying that
I'm
you
a Mahomes
see that.
writer, but bro,
Yes, you
sometimes
see
I'm
that.
listening. sometimes I'm listening to Chris Collinsworth. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about?
He's foaming at the mouth. Someone stop this man.
Oh, now here's a guy who likes God.
Well,
Yeah.
with that,
they're really re-signing him, and I'm just like, dude, just go get Craig Olsen. Like, come on.
One more year.
No more years. Let's move on.
With that, the Commanders.
Oh, stop
Oh,
that
my.
right now.
Oh my! All right.
All right.
With that is the Commanders' victory over the Bengals. So glad you're with us. The Kirby on Sports podcast, episode 207, commercial free. Let's hop right into the Kirby on Sports PickEm with Carlos Martinez.
I was going to say pull it up. I don't have it ready. Anyway,
pull it up.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Kirby on Sports PickEm.
We got some
week
interesting picks.
4. We have interesting picks indeed. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we did not do good last week. We did not.
Nope.
If you put money, if you copied any of our picks, you lost money because we all went 2 and 4. So with that,
We're all tied.
we are all tied up at 10 and 8. And of course, I put this in the group chat, but I got to say it here on the pod. This is the same exact position we were in at this point last year. We were all 10 and 8. So it seems as if history is repeating itself. And you know what that means, boys? Three-peat. Three-peat.
No.
Three-peat.
Not this year. Not this year.
Well, somebody stop me then because I'm coming in hot. Anyways,
Gonna try.
so with that, we are all tied at 10 and 8. And this is where, boys become men. And this is when, Kirby loses.
Help single me out like he does every year.
Mister, I've lost 3
Kirby,
years in a row, bro.
You've lost
Come
3
on.
years in a row. You've kind of
You're
earned
gonna
this.
take it
this
every
criticism.
time. If you win the pick'ems this year, we will cease to make fun of you. But
We will
it's not
eat
going to
crow.
happen. So,
But it's not going to happen.
Anywho, so with that being said, the games we'll be picking this week are the Bills and the Ravens. That is our marquee matchup. We will be doing Saints, Falcons, Eagles, Bucks, Lions, Seahawks, Texans, Jaguars, Packers, Vikings. I will go first as your reigning, defending, two-time Pick'ems champion.
Two-time.
So I will be taking the Bills against over the Ravens. I just think the Bills are playing. I think they're just playing great football. I think the Ravens. Well, again, they beat up on the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not going to knock that. I just think that, I don't know. Whenever these two teams face off, the Bills just always seem like they're a more physical team.
That's true.
But I could be wrong. I could be very wrong here. This game is in Baltimore. It is a night game, right? Yeah, it is in Baltimore.
Correct. Yep, it's going to be Sunday night. Yep.
Yeah. It is a night game, so I could be very wrong here. But I don't know. My heart's saying Bills. Also, we're still playing in September. The September champs reign over everybody in the month of September. So give me the Bills. I will take the Saints over the Falcons. I just think the Falcons have a lot, the injuries that they sustained in that game against the Chiefs. I think it also showed a lot of the vulnerabilities of this Falcons offense that I think the Saints have the players to really capitalize on their defense. And I think they're going to have a little bit of a get-back game here. That game against the Eagles was very sloppy, very, very – it was a bad game of football. Honestly, it was.
Yeah.
But so I think they have a little bit of a get-back here. It's going to be a competitive game. I'm not saying the Falcons are going to – the Falcons are going to get blown out. I just think the Saints will pull it out at the end. I will take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the Philadelphia Eagles. Again, I'm on an island on this one, but I'm going to take the Bucks just because this game is in Tampa, and so far the Bucks have really had the Eagles' number, and I'm just interested to see what the Eagles are going to do because I don't know if A.J. Brown's coming back this week or not, but, I don't think Devontae Smith is coming back this week, and without those two guys, this Eagles offense is very stagnant. They needed a miracle play from Dallas Goedert of all people to win to beat the Saints. And Saquon is Saquon, but I just think also Tampa losing to to Denver the way they did, I think they're gonna be super motivated to play very well. I'll take the Lions over the Seahawks. Look, this was one of the game of the year contenders last year, this matchup. I mean, they had an amazing game last season. And I think it's going to be another great game, but I think this time Detroit comes out on top. And then I'm going to take the Texans over the Jags. The Jags are just in shambles. They're about to go 0-4. And the Texans are going to be motivated to come out and perform well after that debacle against the Vikings. And then I will take the Packers over the Vikings because if my memory serves me right, or if my suspicions are true, I believe Jordan Love is coming back in this game. So I will take the Packers over the Vikings. And with that, we send it to your two-time runner-up, Dan Dembski. Oh, and one-time champion.
Thank you, Carlos. Yeah, I'll open this up with my Baltimore Ravens taking down the Buffalo Bills, mostly because I'm contractually obligated. But this is a big game for the Ravens. It's a chance to come out, primetime game at home. It's a chance to redeem themselves from the first home game of the season, losing in embarrassing fashion late to the Raiders. It's a get-right game for the Ravens. It's going to be probably the toughest game of the season, one of the toughest games on the schedule for sure. Taking down the September champs, never easy, but I think the Ravens do it. They're 0-2 in the last two matchups, so going back to 2020. So it's going to be crucial for the Ravens to win this game. I'm going to pick the Saints over the Falcons. I'm not sure what to expect from the Saints, to be honest. I think after week one, I think we all had a certain view of them, but after they let me down last week, this past week, I don't know what to say right now, but it's going to be a pretty even matchup, and I think Derek Carr will have a good game, and will be able to grab that victory, grab that dub from the Falcons' talons, if you will. That's really stupid. So give me the Saints in this matchup. I'm going to take the Eagles over the Bucks. The Eagles, they got some stuff to clean up for sure. Last week was not pretty. The last couple weeks have not been too pretty. But I think they get right in this game. And I think Jalen Hurts comes out and has a great game because he really hasn't had a breakout game yet this season. Carlos was talking about the injuries to the wide receiving core. Certainly a concern. I think at least one of those guys will probably play on Sunday. It's a long way out, and the injury report right now is kind of, we don't really know what's going to happen. For
Side note, really quick about the Eagles.
Sure.
Are any of us impressed by their offense at all? Because they made a big deal about bringing in Kellen Moore and all that stuff as the offensive coordinator. And really, I have not seen anything that really surprises me about this team.
The Saints should have won.
Yeah,
but they didn't.
I didn't. I haven't seen anything.
And I was not
flashy. I mean, Saquon Barkley has had some nice plays for sure. He's probably going to be their number one weapon on offense if these two receivers stay hurt. But no, I haven't seen anything that's really impressed me. That being said,
sorry, I had to interrupt there.
No, you're good. But I know I'm not really making a strong case for the Eagles, but this was kind of a toss-up game, and kind of so is the next one as well. I'm going to go with the Eagles. I'm going to go with the NFC East team here to take down the Tampa Bay Bucks. Just because, again, that's another. The Bucks are a team as well that you just don't know what you're going to get. I mean, they come out and look like two completely different teams. So, I'm going to take the Lions over the Seahawks. I think we all agree on this pick. This one was kind of tough too because I feel like Seattle has played pretty well so far, especially on the defensive side of the ball, having a new head coach who specializes in that area. But the Lions, I think, kind of need this game to continue their progress forward to start in this young season. So I'm going to take the Lions over the Seahawks. I'm going to go with the Texans over the Jags. It's kind of an easy pick. This is one of the easiest picks this week for me. The Jags are a complete and utter mess. I don't know what else to say. And the Texans need a bounce back as well. So this is a nice bounce back. You get to play a team in the Jags that is just down on their luck and stinks right now. So you get a chance to do that. And then finally, I'm going to go with the Vikings over the Packers. I got to go with a hot hand. I got to go with what Sam Darnold has been able to do so far. Who would have thought we would have said those words, you know, in the preseason, that Sam Darnold would be leading this team and playing as well as he has. So give me the Vikings. Give me that great quarterback, Sam Darnold. And with that, I'll throw it to founder and CEO of the enterprise, Mr. Josh Kirby.
All right, thank you very much, Dan. With that, the Kirby on Sports Pick'em week number 4. I will start off by picking the Baltimore Ravens, a huge game for the Ravens. This will be a tough test, but I think they can overcome this game against the Buffalo Bills. It won't be easy, but I think the Ravens have what it takes to get the job done. I'll take the Saints. They are looking hot over the Falcons. I don't really think it's close. The Falcons do have weapons, but I don't think it's going to be enough to stop the New Orleans Saints. The Philadelphia Eagles, I picked them over the Bucs. The Bucs look pretty good. This will be a close game, but I think the Eagles come out on top, extending their winning streak. This next game was very hard for me to pick from.
And yet we all make the same
Seattle
pick.
Seahawks are 3-0 for the first time since 17, I believe. New head coach and Mike McDonald. But this will be a very close game. I have the Lions.
Yep.
I think the Lions have the upper hand. I'll take the Texans over the Jags because we all know why. And the Vikings, I will take the hot hand, as Dan Dembski said, against the Packers. And that concludes my Pick'ems for the Kirby on Sports Pick'em, brought to you by Anthony's Pizza in Stevens City, Virginia.
Home of the Warrior. But okay. Really quick. I just want to point something. You, Dan, and Kirby literally have the same picks. Now, again, they send me their picks individually, so nobody knows who picked what. So when I was making this graphic,
I hate my picks.
I literally just did. I just copied all of Dan's picks and just moved it over.
I'm quite scared of this.
So
Dan, we're twinning.
Jesus
Stop.
Christ. So just to reiterate, no matter what happens this week, Dan and Kirby are going to remain tied. No matter what, they're going to remain tied. There are 3 games I picked differently, so I could either open a 3-game lead at max, or I could fall 3 games behind. So
true.
This will be interesting. This is going to be a very interesting week in the Pick'ems, because I believe this is the week that last year that I fell behind for a little bit and I had to claw my way back. And then, of course, Kirby just imploded and just had like 0-6 weeks, like back to back, which just killed him at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And then, it came down to the finish. So this is the make or break week, in my opinion. This is going to really determine how the rest of the season's going to go. Is it going to be me fighting uphill and hoping Dan messes up? And I guess in this case, Kirby as well, because like I said, you guys are going to be tied either way coming out of this thing. Or am I going to start to pull away and you guys are going to start to fall behind? And then it's going to be like, can you guys fight back to catch up to me and end my reign as champion? It'll be interesting. Dan, another thing because there's a reason why I was chuckling, laughing. You saw Lamar Jackson's record against the NFC, right?
Yeah. It's like 23.
It's 21-1.
21-1. Yep.
Who was the Goliath quarterback that beat him?
It was Sam Darnold.
Incorrect. Daniel Jones.
Oh, that's right. I still don't know how that happened.
Exactly. He's the one NFC quarterback to ever beat Lamar Jackson. That's crazy. All right, that's my side note of the night.
With that concludes episode 207 of the Kirby on Sports podcast. A quick thank you to our sponsors.
It was, by the way, they blew a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter. All right, go ahead,
That's
Kirby.
right. That's right. Oh, man.
A quick thank you to our sponsors, PM Plus Reserve, Shenandoah Primitives, Transformative Alignment Group, Barrett, Pest, and Termite Services, Mark Lynch with Guild Mortgage, Shenandoah Music, and the official energy drink of the Kirby on Sports podcast. Don't sleep energy. Use promo code KOS podcast for 12% off your order every single time. Gentlemen, I appreciate you sticking with us through tonight. I know the circumstances were not ideal, especially for me, but I appreciate you all as always.
It's so hard for you, mister. I'm on vacation. Yeah, you were the one that was struggling. Okay.
Well,
Yes.
I do appreciate you all.
Yeah.
Likewise, I think.
With that, for the weapon Dan Dembski, the Swiss Army knife Carlos Martinez, I am Josh Kirby. You can check out the Kirby on Sports podcast on all streaming platforms, all social media platforms, and www.kirbyonsports.com. As always, always create greatness, ladies and gentlemen. You never know where it will take you. I'm making Dan crack up, so we might as well just end the show. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we say so long and peace out.